I don't see you.
We will hold that mystery inside of all the.
I don't
We will hold that mystery inside of all that's mystic. You have something to spend time against, so this to find a way for you to find that wild thing for which you belong. Something like a sleeping rose, and this to find itself waking up in the early in the morning for this to be no sorrow. It was your own painting parts, this parting, but particularly enough for the comparison to compete in your competition to come in the Christian realization for the gathering of innate ideas for the fusion. Grasping expansion and knowledge for the knowing how to make the picture, for the figure out how to learn and adapt and expand and express that with the basic steps of stones and stoners. Authenticity for the grime and the distasteful grammar for the tongue to be displayed enough for displays to replace and re-perfecting it said and after the response. Streaming straight to timelines without engagement and habits and habitual thinking and roundabout repetition and not make sense of whether the ability for the liable to tell the truth, the time to find a frame of memory for the disobedient fused and depth of the calm. Spontaneous reaction to heat the energy. Reluctant enough to fill the body for the sediments and to distribute the friction. Divine presence to present for the predominantly for the dominated for the famished elements of this commission and growing pains to sprout the doubts of this corrupted for the proportion to set it after the distorted colors to offering your station ever. They're never minded for the metal for the slow beats of the final punishment. Enslaved to justice and forging forgiveness and picket signs of this and combined companies compared to death for the paragraphs, the parallels of what is spoken, poked about the provocative and the to pronounce and scribbled over to describe, distracted, disaster, disassembling cognitive thinking and provoke that revealing irrelevance, relevant for the enough for the intercourse to deprive that for the detrimental, for the fatality for the fatally, attributable for the outcomes and coming out of the closet to set the ground open for the opposing positions. Coming the time the hands to strike the outward for the enemy outcry to find the outcast and discontaminated for the areas and derived that for the settling departure for the apparatus, rated, regional, residents, resigning, responsibilities for the required reform, retaining, rhetoric, revenue, reactionary, grips of being glued to the realignment for the regiment, engagement, morals, projected right to the front line of aid to react, activate, events, streets and forests like the bland sticks, fire sticks, eliminate the celebratory for the cases chanting disparity for the conclusion, and consider that for the defense of the course of the course to combine. Complaints to complacency, completely complimenting for the complex and content and the controversy, this of every kind of contrive, and enough to contribute to tries to travel in ways to diswearing the parties and participating for the partiality, celibate, deliberates and liberals, all the individuals inside of that for the peace, and you can be beyond within.
You don't want to keep running away from what you need to face of this, to be avoiding until nowhere to run and look at much what you hate for you. Instead of that changing what you are for the need to be, and allowing that divine to hide the pride where you come from where you're going to be the cost to pay for the mind and you're over the reminder for the replicate for the faith for the innate, you're rather from the ratios. Rationalities, technical protocols and protocols, answer that for seeing all things in this learns and time and all fine, all line and depth of parallel with enough of the fortunes and fortune to tell the whom to play. Reverb to action done again for the repeating chords and cordially coordinating and coordinating and exclusive enough for the blinded and you faith the might the sight that this is here to forward the rest of the forest to the bear back to your rarely shared enough for to see the short of just shortcomings. Steward of that for the border, for the supportive abortions and impotence, for the competence of the sentence to be sent, for the completely compelling and spirited spread about of other claw, to not for the be blawed enough for the blind outside. Respected enough spectating, is relocated for the founded deposits, despised after the disparities, impaired intuitively for the trinity, for this be the society and shredded after the insteading and trended to be pretending a tender subject. Objectives of reality, death to be imposing like the heart beating, and for each other for the verbs to be confined, and what the reverb is, and for union to tie the fundamentals, and the fundament to be filled with emotions. Emptiness and less than the food and the folly for the tally marks, and you spot the awkwardly calling hours by the name and indicating your dictator for the out of state for the roaming and ramifications of horny. You can find that for the pool. I can find a yearning, urinals, and in turn for the turn. Things that after the teaching the tone for the bring about the death for the talk, the weights, the origin for the corruption of the correspondence, and identifying your levels of the weight. Heavy, delayed, patience. You're sick of the pain for the face of perpetrators. Agitated for the aggravated, and enough for the cultivation and aggro. You came short enough for the growing, and knowing the hype for no wings and wicked. You faking factors and vacating yourself for the vacant. Renewable for innovations for the ovation. You're standing over the reason to sit there for the theory. Symmetry indicates that for the denial. Denote that for the notice for the circumstance. Stands that for the lean on for the high. You can find the scope. Thought that for the conviction and convoluting. Your premises and the prematurity and premeditated for the meditators and the mediator. For the distaste of wasted sense of spell. Penetrating the impatient the patterns and turned to project and projects for the gentrification for the projects like sobriety or society or libraries. Liberty for the dictated for the canal, the penis, and penetrated for the prerogative. Vindicated for the channels and not to change the day for the creating the child that will have the courage to create. Creativity for the native for that you can be nauseating and deviant enough for the experience to appear the boardwalk, the life of board games. Taking pages of the past, that the currency, the pesos, the thought that, but the paying attention intended for the attending for the settlers, the content and the tenor heart. Heart beating in eardrums and ceremonial for the cages and cultures and the court that for the Galtavis, and no matter what you can have that for the faith. Promise of that for the peace of the departure. Own power of the spirit for this to be the Christ Jesus. The first time they came down for the world, or one with it front of the delay for the dispersion like this rich and for the broken to be the faith. Given for the promise to jumpstart your soul for the new life, for this understanding for the underworld, for the underwritten, and the riddance and along the day for the history to reach out and find a body. New generation of children, you can find the first to come back to the last man standing up. General elections of wickedness and the rendering in reality for the hard time to get into the form of past. This is pastors preaching full regulation for the regarding irregulars and the residing for the back sliding back into the cycle of phases. Labyrinth surpass the death of the serpent and repeat enough for repentance and rather death for the love of the passion for the Lord for the divine and spirit to be able to make the ways to see the invisible enough and to advise yourself for the adversity. Reveals up perpetuating for the appetite for the fast forward or the form of bites and suck the flavor for the flavor to taste of bitterness for the provoking yourself for the provocative deficiency, deviant and developing and enough for the coming society. Time to find a second chance and just to find the charity for the charity or the cheer to the future for the present. You wouldn't comply with the comments and the comments that are coming back for the messengers. Besides what the media write for the wrong, righteous or right to fight for the present, for the presentation of that for the nations and countless and countries and counties and countless, saying that for the contractions, would you contract the contrary? Continue to concern for the condition, the consequences of the conversion, the course that would be the converting and converse and convoluting the Congress and computation. Consequently, consolidated for this to be the information companies, compensate consumers and continue connecting code and come from barriers and the conniving the contour the conversions and contemplate your template for the grief for the grace and gravitation of grave sites and vision of river where you can find the karma for the care and the carriage. Charity for the rarity to say I can find alleviate for the deviant. Depression enough for the deprivation banishment to be the good thing for the this be the one that has that for the need to be the something of summarizing your summer for rising some reason to resonate with the real life and rather that for reactions. Reanimate animates and the intimidating for the case, dating site that saw the heartbreak for the coming down the road. And when you're on the ground, you can find a copy of the corporation for the course. The competition for the signing of petitions and being petted enough for the be petrified. But you're on the payroll. Wheels to find a payback for the back pay to pay, and I can find a high to fall for the snapping down to the field for the calm down for the against the rabbit for the having arrived that for the perversion enough for the convert the players and touch down the body.
Milky red, funny face, smiling smile. Now and then I start to cry, not the tears.
I'm a part of all that I met. Don't fear the change. You fear the unknown. If you knew the future, it would be great. You'll welcome the change to get there. But the future is great. Proceed enough for the path that demands you'll walk through hell. You walk as though you own the place. This is important to live the life in immense, intensely, expert enough of the expect things to yourself that you can do. There's no time to answer that, but you can figure out for the time to look for the deeper mysteries of the existence when everything's going well. Enough for the life of this, and you find a place of this restraint for anxiety, for the sorrow, for the place to start for those consider yours. Sorrow. Defects are the part of a person who never try to change what you love. Nah. Have that simple baffling mind that starts filling in the gaps quickly. You know who you are to that for the deal with the cause. This will be the symptom for the believing outside of that for the game. This will be the owning for the world to find strongly enough for the intelligence to work in every flower you can find a blade of grass. And every cell of body for this intelligence that will say for the creating the universe of the creating that for the continued learned generation this and find a discriminatory act for this intelligence level. Conciliation is most vital, artistic enough for the human expression. You can find an action, a dream full of attachments to do aversion to finally seal what's real and not an awakening. So that's finding ego. Amazing what you have for the connection. You have that for the human being with the planet. You have that for the trees and the clouds and the galaxy, for all of the animals and trees. You find that for the conditions of which you can find a reason. Happy to talk. Look for anybody now, but the parent, the friend, the brother. This will be the brother, the friend, and find that this will be the brother, cousin, friendship, and enemy. You can find the treating the life of this compassion enough that you can be committed. Correspond to something you need to forget. Spiritual essence, but you can't blame. Forgiveness with it comes from the shared humanity. For the perception starts with the lower the walls of defensive. You become judgmental for the ultimate defensive game. But saying I can find a forgiveness with what you is upset for the person that you are, for the pain you harm, not for the connection which you share. Humanity with the roots of anger, whether yourself and you can be the joy of peace, lightness. Things can give you pleasure to mind for the sensualness of the chance on the way down to you. Touch me yourself. Channeling your grazing, this change place to find a present for the hand of the death to give weapon enough that you can drink. This is to walk up with who you are for the crying and let it go for you. Imagine yourself to be like for the only going well, the ego is mine. Tend to look much deeper. The mystery of the existence for the everything is going well enough for the life isn't filling you with the consideration and the possibilities and the role that you play for to have that to defining and the compelling to lead the true life. Power over you to find your deception. Urge to scream that for the bluster over your consciousness. You can have that for the meat for those to wake up and to seek it, but it never belongs to you. It never belongs to. It belong more to divinity, for this be born into the humanity, for the sleepwalking you your whole time for the longer wake. But you aren't free enough to push anything away for the embracing of the loud speech, profusion of words, or possessing your skill for this. So this will be the point. Enjoyment and everything learned, it will be usually find out for the concept of mistakes. Mental objects, you find eternal flight for the pain, for the unpleasant enough, for the you can find a spinning energy for the blaze. You untouched that for the untasted, for the wisdom, for the demonstrating your understanding of what sometimes you feel. Unfolding of the words is so plain enough for the obvious and so simple enough to be necessary for the achieving of words beyond the word. Superhuman enough for the conscious being. I can find what's there for somebody that you can find the true being. Merely endure. And the moment you can find that for never to know, neglect yourself for the vehicle to transact yourself for the body for the pure self from within, and I can find resistance more clearly struggle your dialogue, which you find to procrastinate. Cultivate your witness and things you change, and have it to change with them for the just to change your mind. For the external them for the ultimate, and you can find that for the exquisite vividness moment. Gain immediate access to their own power for the inner resources in their life for the transformation and healing.
All forgotten yesterdays, school days remind me of when I was a boy. All my life I've been this lonely soft face from my childhood days, a smiling girl, not a friend, milky red, funny face, smiling smiles, mother and son stood by a daddy. Usually eat a lot of snacks. Now and then I start to cry. Not the tears like when I was like a colored sun, color green. yesterday. School days remind me of when I was a boy. All my life I've been this lonely soft face from my childhood days, a smiling girl, not afraid. Milky red, funny face, smiling smile. Mother, mother, in the sun, stood by a bed. Daddy, you sure eat a lot of snacks. Now and then I start to cry. Not the tears like when I was, or when I was like a colored sky, color gray. Wish the sun would stand still. All forgotten yesterday. School days remind me of when I was a boy. All my life I've been this lonely boy. Doo-doo. Soft face from my childhood days, a smiling girl, not a friend. Milky red, funny face, smiling smiles. Mother, mother, in sun, stood by a bed. Daddy, you sure eat a lot of snacks. Now and then I start to cry. Not the tears like when I was, or when I was like a colored sky, color gray. Wish the sun would stand still. All forgotten yesterday. School days remind me of when I was a boy. All my life I've been this lonely boy. Doo-doo. Soft face from my childhood days, a smiling girl, not a friend. Milky red, funny face, smiling smiles. Mother, mother, in sun, stood by a bed. Daddy, you sure eat a lot of snacks. I start to cry. Not the tears like when I was, like a colored sky, color green. Wish the sun would stand still. All forgotten yesterdays. School days remind me of when I was a boy. All my life I've been this lonely boy. Do-do. Saw a face from my childhood days, a smiling girl, not a friend. Milky red, funny face, smiling smiles. Mother and son stood by a bed. Daddy, you sure eat a lot of snacks. Now and then I start to cry. Not the tears like when I was, or when I was, like a colored sky, color gray. Wish the sun would stand still. All forgotten yesterday. School days remind me of when I was a boy. All my life I've been this lonely boy. Do-do. Saw a face from my childhood days.